Hey everyone, this is Joshua Kirk here with you once again, and I'm going to take a little break from my album reviews for a little bit, and I just, thought I would, show you my vinyl collection as of right now, which, if you're a longtime viewer of my channel, you may remember a few years ago I showed off my vinyl collection because I was getting a lot of requests to do it. And I just thought I would show it to you again, and it's definitely grown quite a bit since, the last time I did this video. And, a lot of them, some of them I got at record stores, others I bought at, others were sent to me by a bunch of nice people that watch my videos that are like musicians or executives at independent labels for artists that, are sort of, underground and aren't very major, that, just deserve a little more attention. I'm just gonna get right to it. And these are all in alphabetical order in this little white box. I'm just gonna start with the A's. So, the first one that I have is a vinyl that was sent to me by an executive at an independent label known as People at a Position to Know. His name is Mike Dixon, and he sent me this vinyl that I'm gonna... he sent me a bunch of vinyls, including this one I'm gonna show you here. This is Rough Housing by Keith John Adams. You can see there's a cover there. And, I did listen to this, and I will admit that, there's pretty good stuff on here. He's a singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist from England. Really like the sound of his voice. And plus he can play lots of different instruments. On here he's playing everything from guitar, piano, drums, bass, harmonica, horns. This guy can play a lot. And melodica too, which is like a weird, harmonica / piano type instrument. But anyway, there's side 1, and there's side 2, and this is on, 33, third, vinyl. So yeah, that's the first one that I here to show you. And the next couple are Ryan Adams vinyls, in which first one I got here is Demolition, which is Ryan Adams' third studio album. Pretty good album. You may all know me as a huge Ryan Adams fan. A few years ago I did a review of Cold Roses, which was like an album that he did under the name Ryan Adams and the Cardinals. By far it's my most viewed review, and that's the whole reason why I get all this support. So, all you guys that saw that review that still follow me, thank you for all that support. It helps the channel pretty much. I wouldn't keep doing this if it weren't for you guys. Now, it's not his best record. I know some people would have to rate this as Ryan Adams' weakest album or something. Which, yeah, it's definitely one of his weaker albums, but still pretty good. I mean, I think I heard even Ryan Adams himself isn't really a huge fan of this record. Okay. So they're side 1 and side 2. No inserts in here. And I bought this at my pretty much one of my favorite record stores to go to. That's in Annapolis, Maryland. It's called Ka-Chunk Records. I bought this on Record Store Day, actually. This wasn't a Record Store Day thing, but, I just bought it. Because I do like to go there on Record Store Day, but, it's just, I usually don't buy, the new releases, not really a fancy vinyl collector or anything like that. And I also do have a copy of Gold, Ryan Adams's second solo effort, and his first to be released on Lost Highway Records. And this is one that brought him to some sort of more mainstream attention. There's more. Sure, this record, production-wise, is a little more streamlined than his debut solo record, Heartbreaker, which is a great album. I have a CD copy of that. And I actually originally had this on CD too. It's just, one reason I decided to get it is because, you see there? There's 5 bonus tracks on this thing. So yeah, I thought it pretty cool that I was lucky enough to be able to find this. And I bought this at Barnes & Noble, which, I know you wouldn't typically think of Barnes & Noble as a store that sells vinyl, but actually they actually do sell vinyl right about now, which, I think is pretty cool, since vinyl, I think, is becoming a little more important now. Because there were lots of stores where their vinyl section used to be garbage, but now it's getting a little better. So that's where I bought this copy of Gold. Some of my favorite tunes on here I like Answering Bell, La Cienega Just Smiled, that's a fan favorite. When the Stars Go Blue, a classic right there. Wildflowers. Like, I know this is a record that has divided opinions. Some people say it's overproduced and too mainstream or something, but, I don't think it's actually that bad. Actually quite a good album. There's the first vinyl, and there's the second one. And I do have a couple of Arcade Fire albums on vinyl as well. Excuse me. It looks like, I got plenty of time on this camera to do this. It's just, I'm gonna need to charge this probably after this video. But I do have a couple of Arcade Fire albums on vinyl. This is Arcade Fire's classic debut record, Funeral. Really, really good album. Of course, I know lots of people love this and hail this as a classic, and, in terms of, indie rock. I mean, the 2000s, it was quite a time for indie music, because it was getting a little more attention and getting some more mainstream sort of attention, and Arcade Fire is certainly one of them, along with bands like Death Cab for Cutie, Modest Mouse, The Shins, Interpol, the Postal Service, The Strokes, I mean, you name it. The list just goes on and on. All those indie artists, have become pretty popular in the early 2000s. There's the back, and this album sounds really, really good on vinyl. So, yeah, this is pretty much a record that's definitely meant to be put on a vinyl print. And then there's a little booklet here, which, of course, has the lyrics and everything in there. And this is just a download card, download cards are always very convenient. I usually don't use them, but I do understand why labels like to put that in there, because vinyl is the best. Vinyl is very superior to digital music recording, but but let's face it, it's barely portable, so that's why I'm usually not really using my turntable all the time. I'm usually listening to CDs, so that's why if anyone wants to send me music, I usually request CDs. But, anyway, there's side A, and then there's side B. Of course, this is a classic indie record that's very epic, cinematic. It definitely has all the things that, basically, it's definitely a very well done art rock album for sure. Featuring, of course, the really beautiful string arrangements, the just very, very, just, intriguing lyrics, and as well as Win Butler's very dramatic vocals, as well as Regine Chasson's very, very beautiful female vocals, which pair really just awesomely with Win Butler's own vocal. And I like how, there's, I do like Neon Bible, and I do like The Suburbs, but something about this record, I love to hear him just screaming into the microphone. Yeah, that's not really a thing on Arcade Fire's last few records, but, yeah, there are lots of reasons why this is definitely, there's a lot of different reasons why I love this record with a passion. And next, this is one vinyl of an album that I'm not particularly very keen on, but I still think it is a pretty cool vinyl to have, whether you like this record or not. I'm kind of on the fence with this one, but this is Reflector, the latest Arcade Fire album. Yeah, not a huge fan of this record, but what I do love about this vinyl is how really metallic and shiny the packaging is. So that's one thing that makes it worthwhile. Although I do like a few songs on here, the title track of Reflector, and there's a couple of songs on this too that are pretty good. And a couple on a disc one that are pretty okay, but this record's kind of all over the place for the most part. And there's the inside, really beautiful stuff, but not gonna go into huge detail about this one. And I have two Arctic Monkeys albums on vinyl. Arctic Monkeys are one band that, I used to be obsessed with them. As of right now, I'm not as obsessed with them. To the point where, you may remember a couple of years ago I reviewed AM. As time wore on, I kind of lost my appeal for that record, to be honest. But opinions tend to change as you grow up and sort of, develop more and, start to review more records. You tend to sort of, change your mind about stuff. But the next one I have here is, in my opinion, one of their best albums. Favorite Worst Nightmare. This is a 2007 album. I reviewed this about a year ago. Still think it's a very solid album. There's a lot of good there are a lot of songs on here that I do really like Teddy Picker, Fluorescent Adolescent, Do Me a Favor, If You Were There, Beware, and the song 505. In my opinion, definitely, when it comes to the Arctic Monkeys, nothing beats their fantastic debut record. Whatever people say I am, that's what I'm not. You got a bunch of really positive reviews. Got a bunch of 10 out of 10 reviews for that record. Which I would have to agree, it's a great album. album. But I sort of miss that sort of older sound that Arctic Monkeys definitely were so just focused on with their older albums. But anyway, really nice sort of mural in here. Yeah, definitely very definitely some very cool artwork here on this record. I revisited it recently, and I still do enjoy this album. I probably not as much as I did in the review of the album, but it's still definitely pretty solid. And sadly, the other Arctic Monkeys vinyl that I have is probably my least favorite of theirs. Suck It and See. When I listened to this record, I listened to like half of it, and to be honest, I don't really care for it. To me, it just sounds really dated and unoriginal, and some really cringe-worthy lyrics, too. Try not to be overly negative here, but that's just my opinion. The next one that I got is the only Avett Brothers album that I currently own on vinyl. But this is The Carpenter. And I recently saw the Avett Brothers live at Peter 6. The very first time I ever got to see these guys live. And man, they kick ass live. I reviewed this a few years ago. Again, this is another record that I probably was a little more enthused about it in my review than I was like after my review of it. But still, I do think there are some good songs on here, like the Once a Future Carpenter, the single Live and Die is pretty good. And February 7th. Probably my favorite song on the album is the just utterly gorgeous Through My Prayers. And they did play quite a few songs of this album. I do remember they played Down with the Shine. That was the second song on their set. And really gorgeous artwork going on in here. Oh, forgot to show the vinyl for Favorite Worst Nightmare. So you see, I'm, pretty much refusing to show off the vinyl of the record set I have that I don't really care for. And and there's also like a little insert in this one. Basically, more artwork, and there's like the liner notes on there. And let me get out these inserts for this Avett Brothers album. Here are some of the lyrics, the credits, and there's Seth and Bob and Scott. And here is the vinyl, which that's side A, and then there's side B. This is their second album where they worked with Rick Rubin, who's worked with several different people, like Red Hot Chili Peppers and Johnny Cash, and several hip-hop artists like and some hip-hop artists even like Jay-Z and people like that. And there's the rest of the lyrics, and then there's more pictures. Okay. Side C, and then there's side D. And yeah, that's the Carpenter. And I got I picked up Arcade Fire's Funeral. I think I got it maybe at Ka-Chunk, or oh, actually I got it at a record store in Pennsylvania called Off the Record. Reflector, I got at a show that Arcade Fire played at Verizon Center in DC, and it was a great show. Arcade Fire are really cool to see live, I will admit. Favorite Worst Nightmare I bought at Barnes & Noble, and Second and C, I think I got it, maybe Barnes & Noble, maybe Ka-Chunk, something like that, but, I did get sent this vinyl copy of The Carpenter. And up next, this is the only Beach House album that I have on vinyl. Haven't really talked much about Beach House on this channel, but I will tell you that I do really like their music. This is Devotion, the Beach House's second studio album, and their second to be released on Car Park Records. Now we're getting into the B's here. And then there's the back. I know Anthony Fantano actually has a vinyl copy of this album. And, of course, there's the gatefold. Yeah, we give you a better view of the gatefold. Which, I love gatefolds. It always is disappointing when they don't include a gatefold in the vinyl, because I love those. Anyway, there's side A, side B, and I did recently listen to this album all the way through, and it is a really good album. Pretty much Bloom was my first sort of experience with the band, and I do love that record. I have a CD version of it, don't have the vinyl. Still I have to get Teen Dream and their self-titled debut. And anyway, there's side C and side D. So yeah, that's Devotion, the second record by Beach House. And I do have one Belle Sebastian record on vinyl as well. This is Tiger Milk, Belle Sebastian's debut album. The rest of the stuff I have from this band is on CD, but Tiger Milk is definitely a great album. Featuring some of the classics like The State I Am In, Expectations, My Wandering Days Are Over. Quite a bit of songs actually did get some attention when getting played on some movies. Like I know I Don't Love Anyone got featured on The Devil Wears Prada. And also the song Expectations makes an appearance on the soundtrack for Juno. And, anyway, this is side one, and it mentions all the band members on there, which the lineup for this one was Isabel Campbell, Richard Colburn, Stuart David, Chris Geddes, Stevie Jackson, and, of course, frontman Stuart Murdoch. And then there's the second side, which actually shows some of the thank yous on here, which include, like, Mick Cook, who plays trumpet on here. Mick Cook's actually been a Belle Sebastian member for a while. Yeah. So, we're going to have to stop here for part one of my vinyl collection, but I'll do part two sometime, but my next video will be another album review. So, anyway, this is Joshua Kirk, signing off.